Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in this week. None other. Listen,
I'm excited.
It's hard to line some
excited.
celebrity guests up for this podcast, but we got this one. Donna Terrell, Fox 16.
Hey.
Just like that.
Yes.
I got my sunglasses on because I just flew in on the
Yeah,
red
I
eye.
love it,
You
yes.
came from
Red eye to get here.
remote island.
I just got here. Eyes are a little bloodshot. Been up all night, but it's all good.
I kind of figured that. I don't know if everybody's familiar with your story about, I think you came from Detroit.
I came from Michigan, but
Michigan.
I did move here from Detroit. Yeah.
How was the move from where it snows 8 months out of the year and it's 90 degrees below zero 8 months out of the year to here?
To where it's like scorching
Yeah,
hot
scorching hot all the time.
all the time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You know what? I tell you what, it's been 15 years and I'm still here. So I think that tells you
Like it.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd much rather be warm than cold.
So I talked to some people and they said, Mark, make sure you ask her about all the selfies she takes and
But
doesn't
Post them. Why is that?
Why do you
Because
take the selfies?
Selfie, you're
They
supposed
said-
to take it and post. Let
Wes,
everybody see.
Wes says you take selfies between shots.
I take them during commercial breaks. I take selfies when we're in stories. I take selfies. I am constantly taking selfies. Why am I constantly taking selfies? Because I'm trying to get a good one.
Okay.
And I can never seem to get a good one. That's why I
So
don't
they
post
never
them.
get posted.
So they never get posted.
My phone is filled with all of my selfies. But, then from time to time when I need a picture, sometimes we're really hard on ourselves, and I can be. And so then sometimes if I need a picture for something, I can go back and look, and it's like, oh, that one wasn't really
so
that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing is the reason I don't post them is because I don't want to be that person that's always posting pictures of herself.
Because then they'll be like, why is she always posting selfies? Why is
That's
that?
exact.
Why?
That's exact. So see, what Wes would have said is she's always posting selfies, but he couldn't say that. All he could say is she's always taking selfies.
Gotcha. I do have something to say, but like when I see people, social media pages, you got a lot of selfies. The first thing I'm thinking is, wow, you're really into yourself.
See.
It's an observation.
That's well,
She said, "That's why I don't
I agree.
post."
That's why I don't do it, because a lot of people do that. I have started doing something though, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I just started doing this on social media.
Okay.
On Instagram. And let me back up a little bit. I have an issue because it seems like people have become Insta therapists, is what I call them. Have you noticed that? It's like everybody has
something to say.
food for thought. Let me help
Opinions,
you
let me help.
through your battles. Let me tell you how to get through this, A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, who are these people? What makes them qualified?
Where did you go to school?
What that's what I'm saying. So I had a revelation as I was writing an article about this. I write an article for Life in Chenal. And so when I was just kind of putting it all on the table and just saying, I have an issue with this because some of the people, and I know some of the people who actually post this stuff, they have big time issues. And they're trying to
Isn't that the way it is for everybody? Everybody has issues.
right.
but
Everybody has
they're trying to help other people through their
Right.
issues. So
Well, yeah,
if
that's
you
usually
can't
how it
get
works.
through
work
your,
yours first.
yeah,
though.
I mean, work on you. So anyway, but it really made me think because there was a point in time, and still even today, my daughter passed away, and I started writing these articles about grief and going through grief, and I was so conflicted. I mean, I was so conflicted. But the things that I wrote about helped people because I could just kind of put it all on the table.
Right.
And so then I thought, well, wait a minute. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And my hairstylist said to me, she said, Donna, well, you may have issues with what they're doing, but if it helps one person, then it was worth the post. So now I'm an Insta grief therapist.
Stop it.
Yes, I am.
I like that.
But
Yes,
Donna,
I am.
the
I think it's
Insta
better.
grief therapist.
I think it's
I'm
better.
Insta grief therapist.
I think it's better when you're sympathetic and not empathetic, because so people who've never been through it, it's kind of hard for you to give us some advice.
And you make a very good point. And having gone through it, and this is my thing. I think we all have a story to tell. We all have a story to tell. My story is no greater than anybody else's, but I'm willing to tell it. And so for those folks who are trying to help other people, they have a story to tell as well. And they're telling it. And so kudos to them. It took me to, write a story and to talk to other people to accept them for what they're doing.
Okay, well, on that note, so would you say you follow a lot of socials? Because right now there's so many social media celebrities. Everybody is a Kardashian. Everybody's. You're following all these people who didn't get their start television. They got to start social media.
Yeah.
Are you one of those that follow a lot of social media?
I'm not following those people that you're referring to.
Let me look and see. I don't even know if
Who do
she's
you
following
follow?
me.
Let's see who.
Let's see who she. I didn't think she's
Those
following me.
people.
I'm not following those people.
Let's see.
Yeah, go and look and see who I'm following. Who am I following? Half of them. I
You're
will tell you.
following 335 people on Instagram. That's it.
How many are following me?
That's what I was going to say.
6,500. You have 6,500 followers.
And that's how it's supposed to be. Well, at least that's what they say. You're supposed to have more followers than you following.
Right, because some
Is that what
people.
they say?
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? Well, some
Okay.
people will follow as many people that are
that.
following them.
Them.
So, but anyway, the people that I follow, I really have, in addition to the people that I follow who give words of wisdom, and these are just regular people, I'm also following these influencers.
Oh,
I mean,
following
that-
me on
Okay.
Twitter.
That
She's following
You just
me on
had to.
Twitter.
That's the one
Yeah,
thing you
I had
wanted
to
to know.
check. I had to check. She's following me on Twitter. I was
I
like,
follow you on Twitter.
okay, I got you.
I've been following you for a long time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I hope. Hopefully, I'm not one of those try to solve your problems type.
So far, so
Okay,
far, so
good.
good.
All right, good. I try to crack a few jokes every now
But
and
you
then.
might have some really good words of wisdom.
I got plenty
Okay.
of things.
Yeah.
I just don't share. a
Then
lot
you
of
know
them.
what? Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should share some of those things. But most people do it on
Duly
Instagram.
noted. Okay.
Most people, because and it gives you a longer platform to actually say more,
Right.
to write more. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, and on that note, so I personally, like watching the newscast. I don't watch a lot of local newscasts because I'm doing news in 6 other states, and which, by the way, I made the move from sports to news because there's so much more money. But
There is.
when oh my gosh, yeah. So when I watch the local stations here, I will tell you, I think you and Kevin Kelly got the best chemistry.
Hands down.
I do notice. I don't know if you know. I don't know if it's every time thing, but I remember watching the beginning of one show, and I could have sworn I thought you guys fist bumped.
We always do every show.
Okay.
Every show, and
Which is a
and
good thing.
Yeah.
every show. I mean, and that happened from Fox 16 has been around for a long time, but we've had news for 15 years now, and so Kevin and we launched news, Fox
Together.
16 News at 9, and so the very first night that we went on.
Had you guys met each other before?
Before
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you knew each
Well,
other.
once we both got the jobs, they brought me in, and then they brought him in, and then we started doing rehearsals and making appearances together, and spending time together. So yeah, the night that we went on air, I would say we knew each other. And so we were really nervous because it was our maiden voyage, so to speak. It was our maiden broadcast.
Right.
And so Kevin, who sits on this side, I sit on this side, he just instinctly
Stuck
put
your
his fist out like that. And I put mine out and I hit his. And from that day forward, every single newscast, 5:30 and 9, we do the fist bump.
See?
Wow.
And the thing is, Kevin and I, we don't argue. We might disagree. I mean, when you've worked with someone for 15 years, you can't agree on everything.
Right.
So, it could be a day when it's like, you know what, I'm just done talking to you. I've had enough of talking to you.
Yeah.
But we still fist bump.
Well, one of the things I like about Kevin, and I've told you this, I want for one time, just when the show opens, I want him to look directly into the camera and say, "I'm Kevin Kelly, and you're not."
You are so. I'm gonna
Why
tell
do
him.
you want
I'm gonna
that?
tell him
I'm
you
Kevin
said that.
Kelly, you're not. That is true. I'm not.
Why do you want that? Well, that is.
He just seems like that. That you've seen the guy on the TV shows that that just does the speaking,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, and guess what? Like Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Hello, Angels, but he would be a different type of Angels guy. Angels, guess what? You've got a mission, but I'm Kevin Kelly.
And you're not.
And you're not. That would be awesome. Wouldn't it? So okay, so do you have a favorite Kevin Kelly story you can tell us about? Just like
Yes.
nobody knows.
Yes, I do.
Gotta hear this.
Yes. So anyway,
Gotta hear this.
one night we started the newscast and we did something a little different.
Mhm.
So they had me open the newscast in one location in the studio, and he, was also there in a different location in the studio.
Right.
And so I'm standing in front of the camera. The set was behind me, and I'm talking. I'm on air. And so Kevin, not thinking, walks behind me to get to his seat. And what was funny is if he had just kept going, that would have been fine. But he's walking, and then he looks over and is like, oh, wait.
I'm
She's
Kevin
on.
Kelly.
She's on.
And wait, and I'm
Kevin
on.
Kelly,
And so
and you're not.
and so he had this look on his face like he wanted to back up. And then because his body kind of like backed up a little bit, and he thought, well, I guess I better keep going.
I'm telling you.
I had no idea this was happening. So when I went back and looked at the tape, I died laughing.
Telling you, if he,
Like,
now
what
that
were you
would have
thinking?
been a perfect moment for him to say, "I'm Kevin Kelly, and you're not."
And
Would've
it's
been a perfect moment.
I put it on YouTube because I just
See?
felt
Oh,
like
yeah.
everybody needed to see it.
That's good stuff. Now, you recently sat down with Danielle Sargent, who we all know now as
right.
Danielle Musselman,
Yeah,
Yes.
Coach Eric Musselman's
Coach
wife.
Eric Musselman's
Yeah.
wife. But I know she got her start on ESPN, great sports anchor. When you talk to her, what are some of the things she talked about? What are some of the things you guys highlighted from that?
well, this is how I approached it because, I wanted to do a story specifically on her. Coach Muss gets a lot of attention. Her daughter Mariah gets a lot of
Man,
attention.
If you don't follow her on
I
social
tell you
media,
what, that girl,
she's a show.
she's 9 years old, and personality plus.
Yeah, she's the show.
Yeah.
She is, yes,
big.
yes.
She's the show.
And Danielle mentions that. I mean, she talks about that. But I really wanted to focus on one of the things that intrigued me, in addition to just her and her sports background and all of that, was that she said on one of her social media pages, she's a real life basketball wife. And so everybody watches Basketball
Yeah.
Wives and
I
all
don't think
of
she
that.
can do that show. She's too classy for that.
Well, here's the thing. She said, she said, when you watch that show, it's very glamorous and all of that. She said, my life is nothing like that. She said that certainly, it has its moments. We travel, go to fun games, et cetera, et cetera. But she said, a real life basketball wife is there to assist. She and her husband work as a team, there to assist him, entertain, do appearances, community service work, and be a mom to 15 other players. Yeah, and she even referred to herself as the 4th assistant coach. She said when her mother comes to town, her mother says, my goodness, you are really working. She says, yeah, and I don't actually collect a paycheck.
That makes sense.
So, but it was a great interview, and what we did, the story will run on Fox 16 this Wednesday night at 9. But I have a little segment. It's called Terrell Talk. It's like I like to call it my talk show.
Yes, it is.
But it's online. It's at fox16.com. We did 3 segments with her. So starting Wednesday, you'll be able to see one of those segments as well.
I wonder what it's like. If she's a basketball wife, but I'm wondering what it's like when you're in the stands and have to hear the negative
Oh, my
talk,
goodness.
because
Did she touch on that?
we all
No.
know that that's going
That
it's
it
going to happen.
happens.
You win, it's
It
good.
happens.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I thought was funny, and that's a good question. I didn't ask her that specifically, but she said that she prefers not to sit close to where her husband is coaching because he's yelling at the players, and she's like, that mom in her wants to say, don't yell at them.
Oh, come on
Stop
now.
yelling at them.
Come on.
Just don't do that. Be nice to them.
Help that, though.
That's
these are boys. These are guys.
I know.
Well, we get that,
and obviously they can take it, but as a mom, that's how she looks at it. She said also, he is very animated. He is very, very animated, which I think he's going to bring a lot of flair, if you will, to the games. Okay. I think Razorback, as long as we're winning, Razorback fans will enjoy that. They won't enjoy it so much if we're not winning.
No.
But she said there have been times when she and maybe some of her friends would be in the stands and they'd be close to where he was, and he's stressing out and he's just and he looks up in the stands, and she and her friends, they're like just gabbing. And that frustrates him. It's like, I'm going through all of this, and you guys are like laughing.
Yeah, they're not coaching.
But he may be looking for her just for a little bit of reassurance, though. And then he says, what are you doing?
Yeah. So, and she mentioned that in
he's
one of the
the only
segments.
one getting a check.
Hello.
There you go. She was getting a check. I can see that.
And so she said that, but she said she is not one of the. She's not one of the types of coaches' wives that will sit back and just be stoic. She said she gets into the game, she yells, she screams, and she claps, she gets into it. And she said her daughter, Mariah, is that times 10. So the two of them together.
I've seen Mariah.
And he made a run for the Sweet 16, and that really put their family in the national spotlight.
I saw that a couple of years ago when they had the twins on the team in Nevada. Or Nevada? Which one is it? Nevada?
It's
Nevada
County in
Nevada.
Arkansas, and it's Nevada.
I have a story for that.
Oh.
You have to say it correctly.
Nevada.
Because working for NPR, I was a weekend news anchor.
It's Nevada.
It was a storm, and I got in trouble because not only did I say Lafayette, they were like,
What's Lafayette here, but it's Lafayette in Indiana.
I was like, no, it's Lafayette. And they were like, no, it's Lafayette. And I said, okay. And then you have Nevada, and it was like, did she just say Nevada?
It's Nevada County.
Okay. And I left it alone. But yeah, you have to say
Nevada.
it right. You have to say it right.
But he was in Nevada.
Yeah, in Nevada. Say it right. There we go. Nevada. That's it. Yeah, you have to say it right.
Said it right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But I knew that. I remember the Sweet 16 run. I thought they did really well. I was shocked. But that's the way the NCAA tournament is now. A lot of the mid-majors, because the players stay around longer. They're there 4 years. You're the Dukes and the North Carolinas. You're getting the 5 stars. They're there for a year or two, and then they're off to the NBA draft. Right. And a lot of the mid-majors, which is why I think Arkansas is poised for a nice run, because they're much like a mid-major program right now, because they're not winning. And if they can get some players to stick around 3 or 4 years, it could be nasty.
Yeah.
Well, she did say that, which I think every coach wants to win a national championship. I mean, why wouldn't they?
It's incentives and contracts.
Huge incentives. And so, she said that, of course, she spoke highly of her husband, that he has what it takes to get us there. It'll take a while, obviously. Probably won't happen this year, but wouldn't it be nice if it did?
It would be great.
It would.
But fans tend to get a little too ahead of themselves. They start to think, "Oh, we should do it now." Well,
right.
You can't do it now. It's a process.
But I think, what, I'd like to believe, and this goes for, Razorback football as well as basketball. If you see progress, if you start to see progress, winning more games.
Yeah.
Let's win more games.
Right.
Yes.
That's got to happen. So what do you do aside from news? Because people used to always go, what do we do? Somebody asked me at a grocery store one day, what do you do besides television? I was playing softball at the time, so I played co-ed softball in the evenings. So I'm wondering, what do you do when you're not doing news? I've seen the golf stuff. I know you play golf. I've seen the golf swing.
That's what I was going to say.
Which, by the way, I've tried golf now, and if anything, I could beat what Tiger Woods did on day one of this.
Which really wasn't that great.
Which really wasn't that great.
Wasn't that great. But
I had a 91 one time. I called my friend. I said, dude, I shot a 91. He said, that's not bad. 91 through 16 holes. I said, no, I only played 8. It goes, yeah,
You
that's
didn't
not
even
good.
play
That's
nine.
not good.
Oh my word.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
All right.
wasn't good.
Okay.
But I know you do golf. But what do
play
you do
golf.
outside of news?
So this
I
is the
sleep.
podcast version of Terrell
sleep.
Talks.
I sleep.
Give it.
Stop.
I sleep.
All
Really?
day?
All day?
Well, I had to get up to come here. No, okay, all right, okay.
Stop.
She said I sleep.
I also
Okay.
eat. Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say,
Okay.
at some point, you got to
You
eat,
gotta eat.
breathe.
Okay, no. I have a cat, Vladimir.
Oh.
I comb his hair. He sheds a lot.
That's it? No,
My life is a
Just-
little boring
said,
these
I
days.
I don't
Chill
believe
out.
that. I don't believe that. So
I travel. I do
Okay.
a bit of traveling. What do I do?
Okay,
you get
let
your
me-
own groceries?
Well, I was gonna ask that. Yeah. Do you get your own groceries? Do you
Do you
shop
know
online, have
people
them delivered?
who could do
I
that
had somebody,
for me?
I had somebody ask me that once. They saw me in
Uh-huh.
the grocery store. He said, "You get your own groceries?"
I am. Yes, I always go to the grocery store. I mean, no one does that for me.
Cleanup day. Which one would you clean first? Your room, your desk, or your car?
Now I have someone who cleans my home for me.
Wow.
There we go.
Now
See,
that I mean, now don't say wow because that's
I-
not that big of a deal.
I
mean,
don't.
Wait, I
gotta
should
clean
not
mine.
say that. It is a big deal because not everyone can do that. I feel like I work hard. Somebody needs to come in that house and clean it up.
Wow.
You know, I work hard. So, I mean, a few little creature comforts, that's one of them. It's like someone said to me the other day at work, he got one of those little automatic sweepers that just go around the
It's
home.
the weirdest thing to me.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. And he said, "You know what, Donna, you should get one of these." And I'm like, "I don't need one of those. I have people who actually move the sweeper themselves."
Come in and do that.
Yeah, so, but I don't want to make it sound like, I'm like living high on the hog or anything. I could barely pay them.
But
so.
that's your comfort.
yeah,
that's
that's
what
your
you
comfort,
like.
right.
to do.
Yes.
I got you.
And then I eat tuna fish. So,
Really?
I mean out of the can because I can't afford it.
Do you add
After I
relish?
pay them,
Look,
girl,
I have to ask. Do you add
well,
the
let me
relish?
tell you.
Are
let
you
me
the
tell you-
mustard or the
let me,
mayonnaise?
no,
Do you
let me
cook?
let me tell you. Why is it people always ask me that question?
Do you
if I
cook?
cook?
Because you want to know. People want to know if I cook. No,
They want to
Allison.
know if you cook.
Listen,
I
I
would
talked to
never,
Wes.
I would never
Yeah.
ask you if you cook.
I cook.
You do? I cook.
Cook, grill, I do it all. Yes.
I cook.
Oh, see,
said I
didn't
cook.
know that. See, but like Wes, when we had Wes on,
Yeah.
his wife Allison, trust me, when we worked together at Channel 11, Allison would burn boiling water. she couldn't cook at all.
So Wes has to
But he
cook.
said
Wes
she knows
had
now.
to
He
cook.
said, but she knows now.
Oh, she's better
Yeah,
now.
she's
Well,
better now.
she
Better.
buys the little systems where
Hey,
the
but
meals
she's putting
come.
it together.
I got
She's
you.
doing it. I'm telling you, I got
they
Allison's
send you
back.
They send you the meals.
I love Allison.
Yeah.
They send you the meals to your house, and then they give you the directions. Oh, put
how
this
to
in the
cook it.
water. Put this here. So she basically does
doing
that.
it.
She's doing it.
Yes.
Right. I can't remember. I used to tease Allison all the time about the fact that she could not cook. She was scared to boil water.
She has 2 kids. She has to be able to
She
cook.
didn't have 2 kids.
So,
then.
so
She
you,
did
you're
that
going way
Yeah,
back.
yeah. 'Cause he said
Yes.
in the beginning,
Oh, okay.
in the beginning, he
Okay.
did all the cooking.
So that's
Oh,
why.
okay.
That's why I was asking. Are you the cook type? Or
I
do you
cook.
just get in
Okay.
there? And,
No, I cook. And I
okay.
cook from scratch. I cook.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
I cook like my mama. Okay,
What?
so
She said mama and grandma. She stressed
Mama
that.
taught me how to cook.
So you making those
So-
homemade biscuits
You know what,
and
girl?
all of that.
Let me tell you, I
Homemade
surprised.
biscuits. You
She
gonna
said
get 'em in
from
the
scratch.
can?
No.
I get mine in the can.
I surprised some
You gotta
folks
do that.
when they find out that I know how to sew because when I was in high school
Really?
I would make clothes and not out of not
Okay.
out of necessity but because that's just what we did. We'd go to the store, we'd buy patterns and
How many
we'd buy
brothers?
materials.
How many brothers and sisters? How many?
Just one brother.
It
Okay.
was just 2 of you guys
It
in
was
the house.
just the 2 of us.
That's
yeah,
it?
but yeah, that's it.
I came from a family of.
How many people do we need?
I came from a family of 21.
No, you did not.
Yes, I
Are you
did.
serious?
21.
And where do you fit in there?
Right.
I'm number 20.
That explains
Wow.
a lot.
I come from a family of 20. And it was combined family. It was
Of
have a big
course.
combined
Oh,
family.
yeah.
Of course.
but-
I mean, I figured that.
My
Come
dad's
from my
first
own-
wife,
I don't know nothing about it.
they had 12 kids.
Wow.
And
my
then his second wife.
Just had me.
Okay. And then his
And
third
then his
wife.
right.
There was no third wife.
But
Pops had a few here, there.
Okay.
I'm not going to even comment on
I'm
what
just
I really
saying.
want to say.
Hey, Pops Rolling Stone.
I was going to say it's a song for that.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Papa
Okay.
was a Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone.
Right.
Hey,
Okay.
He had it was.
But you know what?
I'm
going to tell you this.
Quite a few.
The beauty in that is you have so much family.
I
And
do.
there's something to be said for that, especially, I just have my one brother, obviously cousins and, and that sort of thing. But it's nice to have family.
See, but did
I
y'all?
was the only child, so I'm really looking at both of you like, interesting.
Did y'all fight?
Interesting.
You guys fight?
We were 7 years apart, so,
Okay.
It didn't matter. I was 8 years
yeah.
apart from my brother Kenny. He still fights me.
But see, but he was a guy.
Oh,
I mean, I
okay.
guess if, if my brother, we argued, but, he never hit me.
Oh,
Okay.
well, that's good. That's good. I mean, I got a little niece that's a couple of years younger than me. I hit her. I used to
Oh, my
wrestle with her. Yeah.
We are learning more about you.
Right.
Well, that's because she used to always get on our
Marked
nerves.
up.
That's
You
it.
are marked up. Okay? You are definitely marked up.
My niece Jennifer.
I'm worried about you.
Yeah, we used to
She's
get in a
somewhere.
headlock
I
a
mean,
little
She's
bit.
going to
what?
give you an
I'm
instant
just gonna
therapeutic
be-
talk.
You know what?
I'm just
I might
saying.
have to have you on Terrell talk.
Yeah.
You
Used
know
to put
what?
in a headlock a few times.
Insta therapy.
Yeah,
You got
give him a
it.
little Insta therapy
Insta
talk right
therapy.
now.
I am going to tag
getting
you on
better.
it.
I'm
I'm
getting
gonna.
better.
You know what? As soon as I leave here, Insta therapy
I'm getting
for
better.
yo.
I'm getting better.
Mhm.
I'll admit I'm getting better.
Did you
I
ever
hope
make your
so.
brother close? Since you said that.
No,
Okay.
just me.
Okay.
I mean, it was fun. My closest friend, she and I were still very, very good friends. We met when we were 4 years old, and so we stayed friends. Forever. We're still friends.
That's it.
But she and I,
I was
she
changing them out.
she and I would we would make the same outfit so we could be matching, for a party
yeah.
or something like that.
Good.
So that's kind of what we would do, and it was just, those were the days. So anyway, I have this dress that I just recently bought. And what is it with these dresses that are so short you can't even bend over?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You know what I'm talking about, too.
You know what I'm talking about,
I
too.
don't have a problem with them.
Marked up on the spot. No,
I don't have a problem with them.
Well, here's the thing. I bought the dress online. I had my eye on it for a long time, and it finally went on sale. I bought the dress. I get
Gets
the
in.
dress,
Oh,
and I'm like,
I
how
hate
could
that.
this dress be this short? I mean, what if I am not tall? I'm 5'3". Someone 5'7", 5'8". I mean, it would be a.
So what's
A shirt on there.
I'm trying to figure out.
So
That's-
anyway.
that's how everybody dresses, right?
But
No,
what I,
they do
no,
not.
that's not.
No, they
It's not
don't.
everybody-
So
No.
what I
Is this
did
me?
was What I did was I had a piece of fabric and I added a piece to it.
Really?
And when I wore that to
There we
work,
go.
and people were like, "Oh, that's such a nice dress!
Mm,
Oh, I
thank
love the
you."
dress!"
Did
and
you
I
say
told
you
them
made it?
I didn't make it, but I told them that I added the piece on. They're like, oh, "You know how to sew?" I was like, "Yeah," and I
Yeah.
stitched it by hand too.
That's
Cause
what I did.
so hey,
Did you put the finger snaps with it too?
You gotta
No,
have
I
that
didn't do
magic,
that.
though.
The
She said,
magic.
"Catch my magic."
You know
though.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I like
Catch
that.
that
Catch my
magic.
catch
Oh.
that
See?
magic. I'm gonna start using
See?
that on
Oh,
Terrell Talk.
gosh.
There you
Catch
go.
that
Catch
magic.
magic. See.
Okay, so we asked you about.
Well, that's the shocking thing nobody knew was that she sews. So if you could name three famous people, living or even deceased, that you would have dinner with, and why? Now the answers that you gave. Now Mark was really shocked
Yes.
about one of them, but we did say living or dead.
Right.
So you would have dinner with Michelle Obama,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs,
Steve Jobs
and Oprah.
and Oprah.
Why those three?
Okay. I wanted to be Oprah. I wanted so badly to be
Yes.
Oprah. I just want.
I think we all still do.
I
I
don't want to be
do.
Oprah.
Well, yeah,
I do.
I've never wanted to be
Why?
Oprah.
This is what I'm really hoping for. You know how you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. I'm hoping that as we're
You're gonna
sitting
do
there,
that?
she'll be like, "You, Donna, you get a car." so that's the motivation behind that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Michelle Obama, why would I not want to meet Michelle Obama? I
Yeah.
mean, do I even have to explain that? I mean, I just admire the woman. In all honesty, and I am speaking from the heart here, I even told Kevin this, and when President Obama was elected and, the Obamas moved into the White House, it was the first time in my life, in my entire life, that I could actually envision myself there. Not that I was going to be there, but I could actually imagine. I could really honestly and truthfully imagine that, wow,
I could belong there.
I mean, yeah. And so, and when I told Kevin, I was like, but why? And it's like, it was just one of those things where you never, ever, ever, ever expected for an African-American family to live in the White House. So to see them there just did something to me.
And the controversy stirred up from the khaki suit. That's what blew me away. I thought it was pretty cool. I never seen.
Controversy stirred up over so many different things. And I, I don't want to get political and all of that, but I would love to sit down and talk with her and just ask her a number of questions, put her on Terrell Talk. And Steve Jobs intrigues me. He always has. I mean, God rest his soul, but he wasn't the nicest person. I know that.
Which is why I was like, why would you?
But you know what? I mean,
because he was smart.
The knowledge that he has and the vision that he had. Bugsy Siegel is someone that I would want to sit down and talk with. No.
Not Benny Siegel. Really? She said Bugsy, not Benny.
Oh, I thought you said Benny
he created. He envisioned Las Vegas. I mean, the mob killed him because it took so much money to do it. And now look at Vegas. I mean, it's like these people who are able to dream something so big and make it happen.
Well, he financed it by
by the mob, and they killed him. They killed him, but
you want to have dinner with him?
Well, let me just tell you,
that's awesome.
Okay, let me just tell you, there would be no windows. There would be no windows. Right. Just like an enclosed. Okay, just tell me, how'd you have this vision? And can you see it now? Do you see what happened to Vegas? I mean, aren't you thrilled in the afterlife? I mean, it's just, I guess what I'm trying to say is people who dream and dream big and who are able to make it happen. I mean, they inspire us all. I mean, it takes a special person to be able to do that. Not everybody can do it.
Well, that's a pretty interesting list you got there.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm okay with it. You're still tripping off of Oprah.
I'm tripping off Steve Jobs. I've just said I would never want to be Oprah.
Well, let me tell you, this whole Apple thing. Apple. I have an Apple computer. And an Apple tablet. I'm an Apple girl.
I just eat Granny Smith apples.
And I do like Granny Smith apples.
That's all I eat.
You are too much. And they put you in news.
And listen, and let me tell you how hard it is. I like sports. I like to be able to. I don't really need the prompter. I want to go off the dome. When you have to do news, you have to read every word on there. So sometimes I tell the producers, I was like, "Yo, I would never say this word."
That is why you read over your scripts. And
I read
them
over every day, but there are words in there, and I'm like, okay, why are we saying apprehended? Does everybody know what apprehended is? Isn't that what cops say? Why are we saying apprehended?
Yeah. I mean, and you're right about that. It should be more conversational. The way that we talk.
That's the way I like to do it. See,
I have a question.
The Popo took him to jail.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what you got. That's what
you want to say. Really, what I want to say.
Run that across the screen.
Just keep it real.
And you've talked about some great people, and you brought up some really interesting names. But I want to know, because you talked about some super people. I'm going to call them super people. So if you could have any superpower, if you could possess any superpower, what would that superpower be?
To make cancer go away.
That's a superpower right there.
To just wave my magic wand and it's gone. My daughter died from colon cancer. So I would and no one would ever have cancer again.
That's a superpower right there.
That is.
I mean, I probably wouldn't think like that, but I mean, the fact that you that's the difference. You know,
Well,
thinking
what would yours be?
I want to be able to just
Ah, you said
disappear
be able
and
to
not
fly?
being around. Yeah, I just want to be able to disappear.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants something, I just want to be able to go.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the invisible. Yeah,
They
that's
can't
good.
ask me
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Then I can go to the bank, and if I want some money, I can just be like, pick up a few stacks, come up. That would be me. But everybody's not me. So, but the superpower to take away cancer would be, and
Yeah,
that would
that
be
would-
a great superpower to have. That.
Mhm.
So, I feel like I'm weird.
Well, you are,
Well.
but, and I didn't know it until this
Till
podcast.
now. She said till just
Now
now.
I see why you're
What?
all marked up.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's just how it is. Hey, okay. So before we let you go, we got to know about your music. What type of music you listen to?
Yeah,
We know
what's
that
on
we
your
know now that you
playlist?
can sew.
Yes, you can sew.
You do cook.
You do cook.
You
She's
sleep
got
you're sleeping all the time.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay.
But
Rest is good.
rest
Yes,
is good.
rest is good.
But what's in the music? What
What's
gets
on
you
your
like? Do you listen
playlist?
to I listen to some real hardcore music before I go on air because it gets me.
So
hyped.
you playing like Tupac?
Oh
and
no,
what
no,
are we
no,
talking
no,
about?
I
Are we
get
going
it, I
backwards
get
or
it.
we
No, I
coming
get
back?
it. Yeah, I like a
forward?
little NWA. I may go old school with a little NWA, but I like to get it, and then I walk in the newsroom and I clap my hands and I point at everybody. Who's gonna make a play today? Somebody's got to make a play today, and it's gonna be me. And then I walk out, and usually that's when everybody's like, "What is wrong with him?" So I walk on the set. So I got to know what do you listen to? Yeah, before you get going for the show.
Well, I don't listen to anything before I go on air.
Really?
Okay.
No, because I'm going over my scripts. I'm really focused on
Okay.
on the newscast. But my playlist is diverse. It
Okay.
is very diverse. I love me some Eminem.
Okay.
That takes me back to
A
Detroit.
little wordy.
right.
He's a little wordy, but I
Okay.
like it.
I remember when he first emerged on the scene, and I was like, huh? And I love the guy. Let's see. I like Jaheim.
Okay.
Remember we had him in
Even
town. I was
though
on the
he's
radio.
driving taxis right now, but okay.
Is he really?
Yeah, you
he's
didn't know
driving
that?
taxis.
Why?
And giving,
Wait,
he's
'cause his
doing. Was it
music-
Lyft or was it? But he was giving
He was
like a
doing
free
Lyft,
ride.
yeah.
He, but
to
he was
people,
because
like right now, he's-
why?
Well, he went from
Because
putting that
he
went
woman
from
first to
to-
putting you first when you get in the car.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
He's the music, but that's what happens because the music industry
It's tough.
Yeah.
is tough.
It is very tough.
And
Well, you know,
people
he switched up a little bit, and he was even telling his followers that, because he was very thug. He was very, very thug, and then he said, "Okay,
Well-
I'm not gonna be
Mark,
thug.
don't go there.
yeah,
I'm,
well,
I'm
he
not
wasn't
gonna
not
be
pull up a
exactly
radio
thug.
you know, my
story. Don't pull it
music
up.
is not gonna be as
got
thug
you.
anymore, and maybe
Yeah.
that's how because I was listening to the thug stuff,
I-
but I also like the newer stuff too.
What?
Okay.
Donna
was.
Terrell likes thug stuff.
Well,
What?
from Jaheim.
Jaheim,
Oh, yeah.
she's saying.
Well, I
from him.
got you.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what happened to Jaheim. I was doing
We
radio
all
at
have.
the time.
We all have.
Listen, I
No,
got
radio
I
story.
need to know.
I got radio stories.
Yeah.
I can
think
tell
I
you.
know what you're about to say.
I can
but-
tell you. Was it DC he was in, and one of the DJs asked him about his sexuality.
Yes.
He did not like it.
Nope.
He turned the mic on,
Mm-hmm.
kept the mic on, beat the DJ up
Yeah.
with the mic on.
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
I didn't know.
That's
Yeah,
what
he
happened to
did.
Jaheim's
I didn't
career.
Yeah, he did.
Really?
Well,
When was this?
Hey, Jaheim was.
When did
When was-
Jaheim?
this
I need to
was-
go look that up.
He was a thug.
Yeah.
For real.
Well, Jaheim is a thug.
Well, he was
I
thuggish.
mean,
Have you seen him lately though? He's so free.
he didn't have the braids anymore.
You
haven't
need to
seen
go look
it?
up the
Where you
video of him
been?
on the plane. He was
Look at
singing
me.
up-
My mouth
he
is open.
Totally different now.
Oh my
He's
goodness,
totally
and I
different. He's
love,
lost a lot of weight.
love his music.
And he's
I
out
love
here
his
giving
voice.
people rides in Lyft or.
Well, you know
or
what? Yeah,
something.
he's got to do what he's
Yeah.
got to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
true.
know, he's got to do it. But I'm mostly an R&B girl.
Okay.
But I grew up in a household where my dad listened to everything under the sun. So I'm a Johnny Cash girl too.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it just kind of depends. Joan Baez, yeah, I'm all about that. Do you even know who that is?
I was gonna say I don't.
no,
I was
I
gonna say I don't.
Look her up. Diamonds and Rust, okay?
Okay,
Look her
okay,
up.
hey.
All right. So
Joan
I'm
Baez.
I
Noted.
am,
Okay.
I am really versatile when it comes to music, and I just like sounds that sound good to me.
Oh,
There's
here we
Joan
go. Here we go.
Baez.
That's Joan Baez.
That's yeah. It's almost like folk
Sounds like
music.
an old Clint Eastwood song. It's like
I could
Clint
actually
Eastwood movie.
I could actually sing this song, but I won't. I mean, I
Go,
know
go,
every
let
word.
Let your pipes roll.
Let me tell
Let's
you
go
what
American
happened.
Can you
Idol.
sing?
Now, I remember when you did the
Can
clip
you-
for
come
American
on,
Idol.
Donna.
Now,
Come
she
on
did an
now.
audition. I was like, come on, Donna.
Bring it
Yeah.
out. Wait a minute. Jones sounds like a guy.
This is
Oh,
No,
okay,
that's
maybe
no.
not. Okay.
Sounds like a Kill Bill kind of. What would
Yes.
happen when somebody? Okay.
Somebody's getting
I'm
ready
like,
to.
okay.
anyway. This is the music that I was listening to when I was a little girl.
Okay.
And so my dad kind of instilled that whole thing about just good music and what's quality and that sort of thing. So R&B would probably be number one on the list, but I
now
listen
would it be
to
90s R&B or today's
listen,
R&B?
because
Because
the
it's a
new-
big difference.
Because the
Donna.
music
both.
from the
I like
90s,
both.
Okay.
that was better. That Next, that group, that was better
I listen to all of it.
than the new R&B out now. Some of this-
You know what? It kind of depends.
some
I
of this
will.
little stuff now.
Some of it's not that great, but some of it's okay for me. As long as I can sing along, then I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not a singer.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Guy was giving me some direction
That's
here.
that's
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Speaking of direct, how do you? So yoga, you like yoga too, and I know you have your yoga warrior. So talk to me a little bit about that. I tried yoga for the first time.
I want to try that.
Probably about a month ago. I don't know if I got the best version, and I'm not talking, but it was trap yoga. It
What is
was.
trap? Okay.
What?
Let me-
And I
let-
thought, is this how this
Yoga.
is? Is
I'm
this
I'm
supposed
gonna
to be
I'm
like
gonna
this?
ask the question. What is trap
What is
yoga?
trap
So
yoga?
you're playing your thug music or your trap music,
Okay.
and you're doing the yoga.
Oh, I got you.
And I thought everything I see on movies, etc., is all calm and peaceful and
Yeah, it's
dogward forward
breathing,
and breathing. And I mean, they were
Sleeping
playing
Dragon.
some hardcore music, and I'm thinking, is this how this goes?
Okay. What is
What
that?
is that?
Sleeping
this
Dragon.
is not.
I mean,
We
that's
are not
just
in
my
a kung
thoughts
fu
on yoga.
movie.
You just made that up.
I did
right?
make that up, but I wanted to do some yoga, but I'm not that flexible, so
But that's
Well,
how you get to be
Oh, is
flexible.
that
Okay.
it?
Yeah, you
Okay.
got to start somewhere.
No.
Yoga, just so people understand, because a lot of people think I'm a yoga instructor because I have Donna Terrell's Yoga Warriors fighting colon cancer. I'm not a yoga instructor. We hire yoga instructors to teach. And we have a big event every year where we just open it up to everybody, and any and everyone who wants to come comes, and and they contribute, in different ways and help us raise money for cancer survivors. But I do yoga off and on. I don't do it as much as I really should. My
Gotcha.
daughter
Okay.
did it, and it made her feel better during her battle with cancer.
Okay.
And so that is what inspired me to want to create Yoga Warriors for cancer survivors and people with different types of illnesses, chronic illnesses, because it has the ability, not that yoga you were doing, but it has the ability
Trap yoga.
to relax people and to just make them feel better.
Well, I did go buy a class, and I mean, they asked me to touch my toes. I took my shoes off
You know
grabbed the toe up.
that wasn't it.
I'm not flexible at
That
all.
wasn't
So,
it.
But you can become more flexible. I mean, sometimes, there's only a certain amount of flexibility that a person can do, and you don't want to push yourself too much because you don't want to hurt yourself. But I will tell you, you look at all of these professional teams out here today.
Oh, I know they do yoga. The
They
players,
do yoga.
especially the football
There's
players.
a
Yeah.
reason they're
Yeah.
doing yoga, and it's because of flexibility. It's because of the relaxation. It's because of so many different things that that practice offers. So look at it from that perspective, and you might want to go ahead and follow through.
Back in my youthful days, I would have done that. But,
Is that when you were jumping around like an ape? Oh, okay. Anyway,
it's an alpha thing.
No, she did. No, she
can't
did
be
not.
messing. It's an alpha
we,
thing.
yeah.
I'm a
we-
member of Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yes.
Yes, our symbol is the apes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start
Oh,
on that.
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
You're an alpha?
I am an alpha.
My fiance is an alpha.
I was going to ask you about marriage.
Yeah.
And listen,
I'm
let me tell you something.
engaged.
Yes.
Bam!
And let me tell
Put
you
a
something.
ring
Whoa.
on it, flash it.
Whoa.
Bling, bling.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. I just lost a pupil. Hold on. I just lost a pupil. Look at that thing.
Hey,
Listen,
He did, yeah.
before
he did a great job.
before we say anything,
That's
the
our
fact that you
yes.
told me is he's an alpha. I'm gonna tell you, that's a
Oh,
good
here we
man
go.
right there.
Here we go. Yeah.
That's a good man right there.
I picked well. I picked
Yeah.
well.
That's right. All men, all great men
Here we go.
Our
aren't-
alpha.
Here we
aren't-
go.
No,
Here we
all
go.
great men aren't alphas, but all alphas are
Are
great
great men.
men.
How did
You
I
know
know
what?
that was?
I
yeah.
agree. You know what? I asked a question to him because I was curious, and maybe the younger kids that are coming along, it might be a little different, but I noticed in my adult life that many of the alpha men were very successful. And that's not to that's not to say that the Kappas aren't, but it just seemed
But-
like there
What you
were
see.
more
Yeah.
alphas that were successful. And Kenneth said that is because when he became an alpha, you had to have a higher GPA than some of the
Higher
others, and
standard.
it was like, oh,
That is true.
so they were just
Smarter.
smarter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true. Now, you were saying a second ago about what are Kappas? I'm not familiar with. There's only one fraternity. that I'm
Oh,
familiar
You
with.
know what?
There's
That's the alphas.
Kappa.
Really?
There,
I had no
there are
idea.
Qs.
So are
I
you trying to
definitely
say nothing
don't
about
know
an
anything.
Omega? So we gonna go there today?
I definitely.
We gonna go there today?
I definitely
the
don't know anything about
Sigmas.
these names. Are
And I definitely
you know
won't
what?
say iota, 'cause
just
that's-
just to
didn't know
clarify, because I don't want any of the other fraternities to be upset with me. There are plenty of
There
smart
are. There are.
smart
Yeah.
men in
Yeah.
all of the fraternities.
Yeah.
I just noticed at one point it just seemed like there were just so many.
I mean, when you
alphas
think
that
about
were
Martin Luther King,
successful.
I understand.
Hello.
W.E.B. Du Bois. I mean, I understand.
Hello.
Thurgood Marshall. I mean, you know.
Okay.
He just has them on top of. That's
Well,
all
I
right.
mean,
Come on.
it's just. I mean, it's a great man. Think about it, historically
You
speaking.
see how that just made his day? You
I
see
know.
that? He just
I know.
beaming over here.
I
Not
put
to
it
mention-
out there.
Not to mention, it's the first fraternity. So, talk about the marriage. I mean, this is something new.
We
Yeah.
are engaged. We got engaged last January,
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Eve, and we're getting married this coming January.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
So,
January 18th.
so what is the purpose behind? Because people have asked me this. What is the purpose behind waiting? So, if you get proposed to January the 1st, how do you say? Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, but I want to wait until September 18th of next year.
You
to
know
do
what?
it.
I mean, and I think people have their different reasons why
Mm-hmm.
they do that. I think it just kind of varies. I mean, I think we could have gotten married the night that we got engaged. I mean, we were definitely ready for that, but we just made the decision that there were some things that we wanted to do. I mean, he lives in Pine Bluff, I live here. We just needed to kind of iron out some of the logistics
that makes
and that
sense.
sort of thing. We have questioned having put it off. There are a few times when we've said, should we have waited this long? I'm like, maybe not, but the invitations have gone out. It's a destination,
Here we go.
destination wedding, and so we're gonna follow through.
I was about to say, how do you ask? Because you got coworkers. This is the problem that you have when you're in the spotlight. Because you got coworkers.
Oh.
Some of them you want to have there, and some of them.
Well, you know what? It's
I was real with mine.
it's
I
a
don't do-
destination wedding. So and we're keeping it
Well, that
small.
gave everybody time to
We're
plan
just-
too.
we're just-
so
yeah.
that could have been an upside as well.
We're just going to keep it small and go away and come back and be married.
Well, continued success to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great
yes.
job on there. Remember, I still think Ed Buckner's my weather guy.
Wait,
but that's a
are
good
you
newscast.
getting ready to close up with me?
I-
Well,
Because
hold on,
wait,
because I got to close it.
what you
before we
wanna
even-
talk
yeah,
about?
Let her
Well,
talk.
Talk about what you wanna talk about.
Okay, so we were talking about Yoga Warriors,
Yes.
and we're doing something we've never done before.
Okay.
Okay.
Small and Associates Financial came to us, and they had it's a financial company here in Little Rock, and they, for the last 7 years, they've produced, if you will, a golf tournament. And for a different nonprofit. So they came to us this year and they said, we would like to put on a golf tournament for Yoga Warriors.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm like, really? Really?
Wow.
Raising money.
And so anyway, it was supposed to be earlier, but at Maumelle Country Club.
Mhm.
But they got the historic flooding ended up flooding out
yeah.
the back nine, so we
Right.
had to postpone it. So it is Monday, September 30th, Maumelle Country Club.
All right.
4-man teams are $500, so it's $125 per person.
not bad.
We're feeding them lunch. dinner.
There you go.
Got lots of stuff that that they can win, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. And the money that we raise will go to the 20th Century Club Lodge. It's a place where cancer survivors can go who are out of town, who need treatment here, but they have nowhere to stay or don't have the funds to stay in a hotel.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so that's what we're doing Monday, September 30th, and you can still sign up. We have a few more spaces left.
Maybe if you leave that, we'll put it on our Facebook page. There
Boom.
We have that up.
It's yours.
And we get everybody
I appreciate that.
informed.
Now, before you close it out, because you're trying to close it out, but we have to end on a Terrell Talk positive note. So hold that thought.
Okay.
All right. Now, we asked you what was the best or smartest decision that you ever made. You said moving to Little Rock and majoring in broadcasting. So I'm going to go just a little deep, not much, but looking where everything is now. For example, when I was growing up, I really didn't see too many black women just on TV, in news, etc. When I was in high school, I thought, well, maybe I could be a news anchor. When I got to college, I was told that black women had an expiration date.
Wow.
When
I
it
didn't
came
know
to
that.
news. So if I wanted to, I could only be in it for a certain amount of time. And so when you already don't see that much on TV, totally shot my dreams down. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'll find myself something else to do. It's not a thing. But from a Terrell Talk point of view, what kind of advice, not necessarily just for broadcasting, but what advice would you give to all of these young girls who want to just break those boundaries and achieve things that haven't been done thus far?
I would say follow your heart. TV can be, as you know, can be a very difficult industry to, number one, break into, and number two, stay in. Just to kind of clarify what you said, I was told the same thing, but not just African-American women in general. Women in general have had an expiration date, and usually that ended up
What's with the expiration
as
date?
they got closer to 40. Whereas a guy could stay on until he's 80. Basically. So that wasn't just something for black women, but for women across the board. This is a crazy business. It is a crazy business. I tell people, young people, that don't just decide in your head that you want to do this, because you're going to go through the school of hard knocks. You really are. It has to be in your heart, because when things get difficult, you'll stick with it. So, and that goes for anything. If you feel something in your heart, if you truly believe it deep down, you'll stick with it. But if it's just in your head and the going gets tough,
You'll
it's like, I'm out of here.
Right.
I'm out of here. I'm done with this. I'm not going to deal with this. So that's my advice to young people who want to get into this business or anything for that matter. And number two, the longevity for women has changed. It hasn't changed completely. There are still stations where, you know, she reaches a certain point and she's kind of like out the door or no longer on that show or whatever the case may be. But I see that happening not just to women, it happens to men too.
I was about to say, I mean, now the generation is going younger.
Yeah. It's going younger.
And so, I think it was majoring in broadcasting was a good move for me, because I think my career suits my personality. And moving to Little Rock was a good thing because I've had longevity.
There you go.
So, and it's just been a good experience. I could have gone to New York and I'd be one of the people you're talking about. Maybe, maybe not. And you should never sell yourself short. I've worked in major markets before, but I'm very comfortable here. This is a good fit for me. So, yeah, it's one of my better decisions. Plus, I have met my fiance.
Who, by the way, we all know now is a great...
He's an alpha.
That's a great man.
He's an alpha.
I mean,
I think he's pretty great.
You can't argue with that.
I haven't said a thing.
He's not thinking I'm real great right now because he's trying to contact me. He's
Oh.
left 2 messages.
Tell him we're
He's
sorry.
Tell him we're sorry.
We had the magic. We had that magic going on. We're sorry.
We'll let you get to him. Hey, continued success. I want to wish you the best.
Yes.
I still think you and Kevin Kelly are best news team.
Thank you.
hands
Thank
down.
you.
I like Ed Buckner. That's my guy.
Would
for
you
weather.
stop talking about him?
Ed Buckner's my guy.
I get that, but do you have to talk about that when we're
I
talking
don't.
about Fox
I
16?
don't. I
Fox
don't.
16.
I got you.
5:30 and 9.
Tell
We
us
have a
again
morning
how-
newscast.
There we go. I was
Thank
going to say, how can we, in case somebody wants to follow you again, where are you?
Didn't
think
you
we
guys
posted it
write
up.
that?
Yeah.
down?
We posted it
okay,
up.
make sure that it's
Didn't you
there.
go- Okay. I
We
mean,
have all the
I'm on Instagram. I'm on
Yes.
Twitter, and I'm on Facebook.
And she's
Look
following
me
me
up.
on Twitter, so I'm good with her.
And just so that everyone knows, I would really like to have more Twitter and Instagram followers.
Wouldn't we all?
So,
Okay.
of course we
Let
would.
me
But
do
if you
this.
if you
Let me do
don't
this right now.
ask,
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
asking. I want you
I
to
like it.
follow me. I have something to say. You will appreciate it.
And we'll look forward to some of your
Insta-therapy.
Yes,
Insta-therapy.
I'm going to get my Insta therapy.
All right.
I'm gonna give it to you,
That's
girl.
what I'm talking about. Thanks for the show. We
Thank
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for
Hey,
coming
hit
in.
like in the bottom corner there, our YouTube page. We love it. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.